Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Going to be giving you my player ratings for Manchester United's 1-0 win against West Ham at Old Trafford. So we'll start with the man between the sticks, David De Gea. I'm going to give him a 8 out of 10. He made some excellent saves throughout the game to deny Declan Rice, Mikel Antonio, Kurt Zouma, and he made a good save to deny Jarrod Bowen. And De Gea helped Manchester United's defence. As you all know, David De Gea's future at Man United is in doubt. His contract at the club expires next year. There's an option of an additional year. He earns £375,000 a week. De Gea's endured around 11 years or so at Manchester United, so reflecting on that, he's been a long-serving player. He's been with us since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. He has made over 500 appearances for Manchester United, won everything domestically at the football club. Earlier on this year, won the Players' Player of the Year award. Moving on to Diego Dalot. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Another impressive performance by him. I thought he made some good runs, got in some good positions, put some decent crosses into the box. Dalot is obviously our first choice right back under Erik ten Hag. He was also our first choice right back under Rangnick, so reflecting on that, there's no way back for Wan-Bissaka. By the way, Dalot scored in the 3-0 win against FC Sheriff. It was an A-post header. That was his second goal for the club. Dalot's contract at Man United expires next year. Moving on to Harry Maguire. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I thought he put a good performance out. Weren't brilliant in that first half, but looked much better in the second half. It was Harry Maguire's first Premier League start since the embarrassment at Brentford. Obviously, Maguire came in for Varane, didn't he? Because Varane's not available at the moment. He's out with injury. Lindelof was an option as well. But obviously we decided to start Maguire. Maguire had an injury earlier on this season. He's had a few injuries as a United player. Harry Maguire's not been one of our first choice centre-halves since the arrival of Lisandro Martinez. Manchester United overpaid for Maguire, got him for 80 million. Moving on to Lisandro Martinez, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Another good performance by him. Moving on to Luke Shaw, I'm also going to give him a 7 out of 10. Another decent performance by Luke Shaw. I thought he made some good runs and he got in some good positions. Luke Shaw has been a long-serving player at Man United. He's endured around 9 years or so at the club. His contract at Man United expires next year. My element of concern about Luke Shaw is injury prone. Moving on to Christian Eriksen. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. He enjoyed a good game. Eriksen did get the assist for Marcus Rashford's goal. It was a good cross by Christian Eriksen. Ericsson also got an assist in the 3-0 win against FC Sheriff. He's done well since he come to United. Man United got Christian Eriksen on a free transfer. When Christian Eriksen officially signed, he signed a 3-year contract. Moving on to Casemiro, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Casemiro's done well in a lot of games since he come to United. Don't forget, he scored his first goal for the club in the 1-1 draw with Chelsea. Casemiro rescued a point for Man United. He scored in stoppage time. Man United got Casemiro from Real Madrid in a deal worth 70 million. Moving on to Bruno Fernandes, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Okay performance, not his best performance, by the way. Fernandes did receive a yellow card in the game. Fernandes, by the way, is not going to be available for the game against Aston Villa this weekend. Moving on to Marcus Rashford, he's going to get an 8 out of 10. Marcus Rashford scored the only goal of the game in the first half. It was a header. Marcus Rashford, after the game, did admit he wasn't in the right headspace. It was Marcus Rashford's 100th goal for Manchester United. Rashford should have had more than 1 goal, because he had a chance when he headed it and it produced a save from the West Ham goalkeeper, and he had another opportunity that just went wide. Don't forget, Rashford did come on and score in the 3-0 win against FC Sheriff. Not so long ago, it was Rashford's 25th birthday. And he's enjoying a good season to his standards. He just needs to be a bit more clinical. Revert back to September, he got named the Premier League Player of the Month. Rashford's future is in doubt at United. His current contract at the club expires next year. There's an option of an additional year. Moving on to Anthony. Oh, sorry, should I say Elanga, not Anthony. I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. Elanga actually did start the game. He doesn't start that many games, does he? You know, we usually play either Anthony or Sancho ahead of him. And Ronaldo, I will give him a 6 out of 10. He wasted chances. Did Ronaldo. Don't forget, Ronaldo scored on his return in the 3-0 win against FC Sheriff. That was Ronaldo's 701st career goal. Don't forget, Ronaldo missed a 1-1 draw with Chelsea as a punishment for refusing to come on as a sub in the 2-0 win against Tottenham. Not so long ago, Ronaldo was at Carrington. He had talks with Erik ten Hag over his Man United future. Man United consider releasing Ronaldo on a free transfer. Napoli are interested in him. Chelsea are also interested in him. Ronaldo's contract at the club expires next year. There's an option of an additional year. Manchester United re-signed Ronaldo last year from Juventus, so Ronaldo has been in his second spell at Man United. Man United brought 2 subs on in the game. We saw Fred come on. I'll give Fred a 7 out of 10. Fred was unlucky not to score when he came on because he did hit the post. And Scott McTominay, I will give him a 6 out of 10. So that is your player ratings for Manchester United's 1-0 win against West Ham at Old Trafford. Reflecting on the win, Man United are now just 1 point behind top 4. I think Man United are now unbeaten in the last 7 or 8 games in all competitions. The last game Man United lost was to Manchester City 6-3. I knew Manchester United were going to beat West Ham because West Ham have a terrible record at Old Trafford. You know, the last time West Ham won at Old Trafford in the Premier League was back in 2007. That's 15 years ago now. But West Ham did win at Old Trafford in the Carabao Cup last season, 1-0. Man United did beat West Ham at Old Trafford in the league last season, 1-0. Rashford scored in the 93rd minute of stoppage time. West Ham, they've been doing well at home. Like I said, they've won the last 6 home games in a row. West Ham were obviously missing some players on Sunday. They were missing Maxwell Cornet and 2 other players. Jarrod Bowen, he did play in the game, but he had an injury not so long ago. But prior to the game, Moyes did confirm that Jarrod Bowen was back in training. Obviously, on Sunday, David Moyes was having a reunion with Manchester United. You know, David Moyes is in his second spell at West Ham. He's been the West Ham manager for almost 3 years in his second spell. Moyes got appointed in back in December 2019 in his second spell. Moyes is under contract with West Ham till 2024. Last year he signed a new 3-year deal. Did David Moyes. The season before last, Moyes guided West Ham to a 6th place finish. So reflecting on that, got them to the Europa League. And Moyes obviously weren't good in his first spell at West Ham. He ended up getting sacked. And before Moyes managed Real Sociedad, got sacked from them, managed Sunderland, he got sacked from them because he got Sunderland relegated. Managed Man United for around 9 or 10 months. He only enjoyed the short managerial tenure at Man United. Man United finished 7th under the David Moyes era. I think that's the lowest we've finished in the Premier League era. Obviously, when Ferguson retired almost 10 years ago, Ferguson decided to recommend Moyes in, which was a mistake he made, but the reasons he did it at the time is because they're both Scottish, and at that time Ferguson had a lot of time for Moyes. And before managed Everton, Moyes enjoyed around 11 years or so at Everton. He was a good manager at Everton, to be fair, and before managed Preston. So they're the clubs Moyes has managed in his managerial career so far. West Ham, though, you know, they have let players go. Like I said prior to the game and that, they lost Issa Diop. He went to Fulham from West Ham. They also lost Yarmolenko, he left on a free. They loaned Nikola Vlasic out. They lost Ryan Fredericks. Mark Noble went as well. Mark Noble was at West Ham for several years. Mark Noble, though, has he retired now? Obviously, he's too old. And a few years ago, West Ham lost Sebastian Haller, and quite clearly he wasn't good enough for West Ham. So they are players that West Ham have lost. Now, obviously, revert back to yesterday. I gave you the news on Declan Rice and Max Aarons. Declan Rice made his thoughts on Old Trafford Clay in Man United transfer hint. earlier on this year, Man United were in for Declan Rice. Obviously, Man United decided to get Christian Eriksen and Casemiro instead of Declan Rice. Declan Rice obviously played in the game Sunday and put a very good performance out. Like I said, had that long range effort, produced a very good save from De Gea. Declan Rice, has been at West Ham since 2014. So he's been with them for around 8 years. He's made 180 appearances for West Ham and scored 7 goals. He's under contract with them until 2024. Before West Ham, he was at Chelsea. He was in their youth setup. He came up their academy, but he actually never got into Chelsea's first team. Declan Rice is predominantly a defensive midfielder, but can be deployed as a centre-back. And Max Aarons, Man United want a January move for Max Aarons. Max Aarons is obviously at Norwich. He's been at Norwich since 2016. He's under contract with Norwich until 2024. Before Norwich, he was at Luton. He can be deployed as a left back and a right back. If Man United were to bring Max Aarons in January, then that would probably see Wan-Bissaka leave the club next year. I think Bissaka could leave next year anyway because he can't get in the team because Diego Dalot is our first choice right back. But if we're to bring Aarons in, it would certainly provide competition for Diego Dalot. But anyway, Man United are looking to make some more signings in January. We've made 6 signings this year. We brought Terrell Malacia in, Lisandro Martinez, Christian Eriksen, Antony, and Martin Dubravka. Man United have spent over 200 million this year. We've also let players go as well. A lot of players have left Man United this year. So now guys, that's everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do. Consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very soon.